Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Barnard College is one of the Seven Sisters. So you can imagine what kind of concentration of the scions of Rothfuls, rich, angry, white leftist females, exist at Barnard College. Tiny Dancer couldn't get in there, so he went to Sarah Lawrence instead.
And majored in ballet.
Yeah. Majored in looking like a mini Tim Curry from Rocky Horror Picture Show. So Barnard College, all of these ghastly undergrads, took over the campus because that's not played out. Apparently they haven't gotten word from the Ivy League yet. Shouting down the dean there, a woman named Leslie Grenage, who is a woman of color, no less. But, this is where identitarians cannibalize each other. Sort of like what happened with Karen Bass and that lesbian fire chief in California.
Oh, right, exactly, yeah. I'm not going to fire you. We're on the same page, and then she fires her.
When DEI beneficiaries collide, and it happened at Barnard College, too. This is the mass of barnyard animals at Barnard College that were deciding collectively whether or not to allow their dean of students, Leslie Grenage, to safely pass through their presence into the bathroom.
They're asking if the dean can go to the bathroom.
No hallway pass.
Guess what? We're gonna boo her while she does it. We're gonna boo her. No, we're not gonna boo. We're gonna boo her.
She's got to jump into the flag, bro.
Yeah.
Tough luck. She has to jump into the and there's so much.
Boo birds are back, Dan. Boo birds
That's
at
what
Barnyard.
wealthy families from Glencoe or Wilmette are sending their daughters to Barnard at $70,000 a pop to do that, to learn to be insufferable hysterics, panelists on The View upon graduation. Yeah, and of course, so much of this corruption of academia is financed by American taxpayers, much to our lack of knowledge and chagrin. This is an interesting piece, more fodder for the Doge folks. The National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine has raked in hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer funds. The New York Times reported 2023 that the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine got 70% of its budget from the federal government. 70% of its budget from the federal government, totaling $200 million. And the National Academy of Medicine president makes $1 million a year.
Wow.
The National Academy of Engineering president makes $1 million a year. The National Academy's president, Marcia McNutt, earns $1 million a year. The chief diversity and inclusion officer, of course, makes $335,000 a year.
What to do? What?
Well, they put on events like in 2021, an event that discussed how environmental injustice and structural racism exacerbate climate change for communities of color.
Oh, that was my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In 2021, they also did a workshop where they examined how spatial justice can exacerbate public health problems among historically marginalized communities.
Spatial justice.
In 2023, they issued a report detailing recommendations for federal policies to improve racial, ethnic, and tribal health equity. Oh, there's that word again, equity. Anti-black racism in science and engineering and mathematics. Marcia McNutt, one of those $1 million a year execs. This will be my last post on Twitter X. I can no longer be part of a platform that actively encourages disinformation and amplifies misinformation, especially when its CEO colludes to undermine democracy. This is who we're subsidizing 70 cents on the dollar for $1 million salary a year. And, of course, the same thing is happening at the Seven Sisters, the Ivy League, college education writ large. For more on this, boy, the Doge folks can't cut deep enough here, can they? Neetu Arnold is a Paulson policy analyst at the Manhattan Institute and a Young Voices contributor. Neetu Arnold, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan and Amy. It's great to be here.
I hope you're not a Barnard graduate.
I'm
Wait.
Cornell. Does that make it any better?
What's that?
I'm Cornell. I'm a Cornell University graduate.
Ooh, I don't know. We're gonna have to rethink this.
That's not great. Well, I'm
He
in,
went to Northwestern.
yeah, so I'm in no place to talk.
Okay.
I have no place to talk. So you looked at another interesting institution, sort of like the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, and this is the Institute of Education Sciences within the Department of Education. Tell us about it.
Right. So the Institute of Education Sciences is the research arm of the Education Department, and they're essentially supposed to produce good research so that we can use that information in our school to have better practices, to have better teaching methods. And so there's a specific program within the Institute of Education Sciences, and that's called the Regional Education Laboratory Program. It was founded in the 1960s. Again, the goal was to research effective education practices, especially to help disadvantaged kids. And
it's worked great. It's worked famously. Look at the reading and math scores.
Yeah. Well, and what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to take that research, take that information, and pass it down to state and local leaders through training sessions, through reports. But what I found with my investigation with City Journal is that just because something falls under research doesn't mean they're actually doing research. And our taxpayer dollars have been funding things like DEI in hiring teachers. We're promoting relaxed discipline policies to reduce suspension rates of minority students. It's not about making sure we change the behavior so that suspensions go down. It's just by looking at someone's skin color and saying we should stop suspending them. And so these are some of the programs that I found that we were funding, and it's supported by this network of large research consultant groups.
Well, right. Now get into that, because this is really an important part, and it's a recurring theme when we're talking about what Doge is uncovering, which is these, it's a favorite phrase of the politicians, public-private partnerships, or the independent contractors, the nonprofits that we contract with to help us do all this good work at the state and local level. And in point of fact, it's funding bureaucracy that turns around to fund their fellow travelers in the nonprofit bureaucracy, where they can do things that are easier to hide than can government agencies.
I think you're absolutely correct. And here's how the Regional Education Laboratory Program works. There are 10 labs in the country, and they each oversee a certain set of states, which you can call regions in this case. So, for example, Illinois would fall into the Midwest region. And so each one of these regional education laboratories are run, or they're operated by a research consultant, either public or private. So again, going back to Illinois, they're under REL Midwest, and REL Midwest is run by research consultancy American Institutes for Research. Now, American Institutes for Research benefits from this relationship, not just because they get a lucrative grant from the federal government. These are often multi-year million-dollar grants, okay? But it also gives them opportunities to connect with local leaders, with state leaders. And so when they want to pursue projects that are outside the priorities of the federal government, now they have those connections. And so American Institutes for Research gets a lot of money from federal, state sources. They're getting at least $300 million revenue total.
Right. And so, all right. So now following this, so you have like these regional education laboratories, and then they contract with research consultancies. And one example you gave, for example, is one research consultancy that did a train the trainer, training teachers on like critical race theory in English, where they do lessons like examining the white savior complex in To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, this just to show you sort of the money flow and what this all ends up doing.
Yeah, I mean, that was research consultancy West Ed, which runs the West Coast, so California, Utah, Arizona, and I believe Nevada. I don't know if I'm missing any other state, but that workshop on critical race English education was run by West Ed. And here's the other thing, because I think this might be relevant to Illinois. All of these research consultancies, they might oversee a specific region, but they can often collaborate and work together.
Of course.
And this teacher training workshop on critical race English education was also conducted with the Illinois Department of Education. So, yeah.
If it's happening in one part of the country, it's happening all over because they want full coverage always.
Yes, and I actually got the video. It was right on their website, but I got the video of this training, and I just couldn't believe what I was watching, what I was hearing, and how I felt like for a long time, many people in the education sector, they said, we're not teaching critical race theory, but then here they are saying, here's how you can morph English language education to consider critical theory in English classes.
Wow. Talk about what happened in the Akron public schools, how they, REL Midwest, they worked with them to do exactly what?
To relax school disciplinary policies to reduce minority student suspension rates. And again, Akron Public Schools, it's overseen by REL Midwest. It's probably the last thing that Akron Public Schools need. Their schools, they're having students that are in fights all the time. Students who are, the injuries are really bad. They're wielding knives. They're suffering concussions. Also many of these fights are not reported. And I think it has to do with the reporting requirements, what qualifies as a severe enough report. And that really falls under the realm of relaxing school discipline policies. And that's what has fallen under research at the regional education laboratories. And so the question is, are our taxpayer dollars really helping students? Are they helping families? Are they even helping school administrators?
Well, and now the good news is, I sort of said at the outset, but I want to emphasize it. The Trump administration has slashed almost $900 million in DOE research contracts, and that included 10 contracts totaling $336 million with the regional education laboratory. So there is some progress on this front, but it's only because of the work of Doge and people like you highlighting what exactly is going on, doing the digging to unearth this stuff, and obviously there's more to do.
Yes, I absolutely agree. There's a lot more to do, and we need to keep doing this kind of work. And I appreciate the opportunity to share this information with your listeners.
Neetu Arnold, Paulson policy analyst at the Manhattan Institute and a Young Voices contributor as well. Neetu, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration?